Welcome to our YouTube channel. Today, we bring you a story full of surprises and hidden angles that few people know about. Don't leave just yet. Just when you think you've figured it all out, there are fascinating and meaningful details waiting for you at the end of the video. Let's explore together and uncover the special message this video has for you. Are you ready? Let's get started. The same fateful year, unknown tribes, whose origins and identities remain shrouded in mystery, descended upon the land. The armored soldiers of the Kievan Rus, wearied by a week of relentless battle, pursued these enigmatic invaders. Refugees from the steppe had been the first to sound the alarm, pleading with the fractious princes of the Kievan Rus to unite their forces against a fearsome and godless horde. Now, at the Kalkar River, their banners held high, the Rus warriors gazed upon their enemy for the first time. These invaders were none other than the Mongols, fresh from reducing the mighty Khwarezmian Empire to ash and scattering its ruler into the Caspian Sea. Under the command of the brilliant generals Subutai and Jebe, they had ventured north to explore and conquer unfamiliar lands. Leading the Rus was a young prince, Danilo, who boldly crossed the river with his men. In a reckless charge through a hail of arrows, Danilo broke through enemy lines and slew several Mongols. Yet his valor came at a cost. He was gravely wounded by a Mongol arrow. Allies rushed to his aid, but the Mongol horse archers, masters of speed and strategy, outflanked the Rus. The battle dissolved into a chaotic retreat, leaving thousands of Rus soldiers dead. Victorious, the Mongols rode back through the silver fields littered with Rus corpses before returning eastward, leaving the land in stunned silence. Prince Danilo and the few surviving princes limped back to their fragmented thrones. This brief incursion was not the end. The Mongols, no longer an anonymous threat, had revealed their might to the world's most powerful rulers. They began their journey back to the court of Genghis Khan, whose shadow loomed large even after his death in 1227. Founded in the 9th century, the Kievan Rus had once been a strong, united power on the eastern edge of Europe. Over time, however, internal rivalries and the drying up of key trade routes weakened its foundations. Fractured into smaller principalities, the Rus princes were as likely to war against one another as they were to defend against foreign invaders. Despite this turmoil, some sought to restore the Federation's former glory. Roman the Great had unified many regions, ruling as the master of Western Rus and the land now known as Ukraine. Yet his death in battle left his legacy in jeopardy. His son, Danilo, inherited only a fraction of his father's domain, ruling the western region of Halych-Volhynia. 14 years after the Battle of the Kalkar, in 1237, the terror of the Mongol horde returned to the eastern reaches of the Kievan Rus. The city of Ryazan refused the Mongols' demand for surrender and fiercely repelled their initial assaults. But the resistance was short-lived. Ryazan was overwhelmed, its prince killed, and its people annihilated. Chronicles would later claim that none were left to groan or cry. Though Genghis Khan had passed, his legacy lived on. His son, Ogdi, now ruled and had ordered the complete subjugation of the Kievan Rus. Leading the charge was Bata Khan, grandson of Genghis, accompanied by Subutai and other top generals. The devastation they unleashed marked the beginning of a new and brutal chapter for the Kievan Rus. In 1239, under a bleak, ashen sky, Mengke Khan led his forces westward, leaving destruction in their wake. Entire principalities were razed, civilians massacred, and Crimea fell to their relentless advance. The Mongol forces pressed on, their path marked by ash and blood. Beyond the horizon, the domes of Kiev rose like unopened blossoms crowned with simple crosses, standing as a beacon of splendor amidst the desolation. Beneath them, life stirred, peasants in creaking hovels, carts laden with goods, and cattle trudging through the narrow streets. Struck by the city's beauty, Mengke Khan expressed a rare desire to spare Kiev should its people surrender peacefully. Yet the Grand Prince, Mikhail of Chernihiv, rejected the offer and fled, leaving the city to its fate. A year later, with winter's grip turning rivers to ice, Kiev's reprieve ended. The Mongol horde, led by Bata Khan, encamped outside its gates, filling the land of Rus with an army vast beyond reckoning. The cacophony of screeching carts, bleating camels, and neighing horses drowned out all other sounds. Chinese engineers advanced siege weapons that splintered Kiev's timber walls, hurling stones that buried towers, homes, and people alike. Within days, the Mongols breached the defenses. Kievans rushed to meet them on the ramparts, briefly repelling the first wave of attackers before being overwhelmed. The invaders surged through the burning streets, scattering the terrified populace. Desperate civilians sought refuge in the Church of the Tithes, fortifying its doors and huddling around its glowing altar. As Mongols stormed the sanctuary, the frantic crowd packed onto the church's strained balconies. With a deafening crash, the structure collapsed, crushing hundreds beneath its ruins. The city lay in ashes, and the once mighty Kievan Rus was reduced to a shadow of its former self. The lands to the west stood exposed to the advancing Mongols. Batu and Subutai now turned their sights to Central Europe, where Poles, Hungarians, Germans, and the Knights Templar would muster their forces, only to be scattered in battle. Meanwhile, Prince Danilo received word that his wife and children had survived the invasion, fleeing to Poland. In a tearful reunion by the Polka River, he embraced his family but warned them that no place was truly safe. Leaving them in search of answers, Danilo surveyed his devastated homeland. At Berestya, he found the fields uninhabitable, the stench of countless decaying corpses filling the air. In Volodymyr, the dead outnumbered the living. Not a single soul remained. Churches, including the Church of the Blessed Virgin, were filled with the lifeless, their sanctity now marked by silence and death. Despite the Mongol conquest, regional conflicts persisted. Danilo and other princes maintained fragile alliances and bitter feuds, clashing with Poles and Lithuanians along the borderlands. Yet, the Mongols loomed over them all, demanding submission. Defeated rulers were required to seek Batu Khan's confirmation of their authority, their lands now held as vassals of the Mongol Empire. Tribute in the form of taxes, soldiers, and laborers became the price of survival. In 1246, Mikhail Cherniev came to Bata Khan's court. Bowing deeply before the conqueror, he offered homage but refused to worship the Mongol icons or honor the dead Genghis Khan. With unyielding resolve, he declared, "We bow to you and pay you homage, but we will not worship in the faith of your ancestors." His defiance symbolized a faint, flickering resistance in a world irrevocably changed by the Mongol tide. Thank you for taking the time to watch today's video. If you found this story interesting and meaningful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any exciting content coming up. Leave a comment to share your thoughts. We're eager to hear from you. See you in the upcoming videos with more unique and meaningful stories. Stay with us.